Hello and welcome to the fourth business special, which is monthly presentations by me and Accomplish Your Goals coaching. There was a retreat, right? We call it a retreat because we absolutely love them. And it was a meeting of 6 businesses. It was in summer, it was in Scotland, and it was lovely because it was at a hotel and spa. But it actually got us to work really, really hard on problems and challenges. And that's exactly what we're going to work on today. So we're going to go through problems, we're going to go through some solutions, and then we're going to have a Q&A session and some networking at the end. Now, it all started with those 6 businesses where the main question was, what is your problem? We went through things like time management and too much on our plates and things that snuck in and things that fell out of our calendars, things that were important that we wanted to do, but actually got overtaken by other certain reasons such as procrastination and lack of discipline, and we didn't have the right management systems, and we wanted to grow our businesses, but we didn't actually have all the tools that we needed. So we sat down together and we came up with a whole bunch of solutions, which we're going to discuss here today, and they have been tried and tested. So I'm very glad that you are here and that you get to hear about those. Some of them you know, then it's going to be reminders over and over, and some of them might be new to you, something you haven't tried yet that you would like to try, something that you're doing at the moment is not working, so a new way of doing things would be great. Now, a lot of the things that we discussed were around scheduling. They were around how to fit things into your day and how to be reasonable about how much time you can actually spend working. Every person is different. Some people can work 3-4 hours a day. Some people can work 12 hours a day, especially if you're working on your own business or you're in a very independent role where you get to choose your workload. That is then up to you to reasonably look at your abilities, at your possibility in regards to your family life, not to miss out on the things you actually want to do in the long term. Because I keep coming across businesses where the business owner works very hard and it's really admirable. But after 10-20 years, they realize that there were so many things they haven't done, simple things like spend time with family, go on holidays. And if they scheduled it differently in the long term, they would have had both their work done and spent time with family, go on holidays, take care of their hobbies, take care of things that they actually wanted. There is a Parkinson's law, which is about contracting and expanding time. And it gives you the ability to do something that takes 8 hours within 2 hours. If you have 2 hours, your subconscious mind is going to help you get everything done within 2 hours. Now, it works the other way, unfortunately, as well, where if you have only 2 hours of work to do, but you have 8 hours of time, it will actually expand it to the 8 hours and keep you busy for the whole day. So just bear that in mind when you do your plans, when you do your scheduling. You don't have to put everything in a plan. You can introduce this as a process, but you don't actually have to. See what works for you. You don't have to plan the whole day. And by that, I mean you can plan certain elements of the day and then leave the rest of the day for your usual daily activities, or you can plan every activity. It just depends what your mindset is and what your opinion is of planning. We talked a lot about processes and we did a lot of accountability. So at the time that we were there and we were working on all these problems and these solutions, we did things in the moment or we did things later, but there was always someone that would ask us, have you done this? Have you done this? Because we committed ourselves to doing it. And we did have a follow-up system afterwards where we stayed in touch and again asked each other whether the things that were important to us, did we actually do them? It helps with the previously mentioned procrastination, discipline, and it also helps if you wanted to speak to someone that is either a family member or a friend or a colleague, someone that you work with, someone that you live with, or someone that you speak to on a regular basis, like a best friend you meet once a month or every couple of weeks. If you say to that person exactly what your plans are and could they check you on it, they will next time they see you, they're going to ask you about it. And it does add a little bit to that accountability. That's if you want to do it informally. If you want to do it formally, then that's what people such as coaches, mentors, and business groups do for you. So definitely stay on top of that. Just involve other people because it does become much easier. It's not a nagging exercise or a nagging element. It's basically someone keeping you accountable to what you wanted to do for you. So they're helping you actually stay on track. And we talked a lot about our offerings. So every single one of us has to sell something. And we talked about different ways of presenting that offering. What is the best audience to speak to? Who is the best person, the ideal avatar? And what is the best way to describe our products or our services? We went through various different replacements in that process and in other processes to make sure that we no longer spend time and energy doing something that doesn't work for us. So if you can think of something that you are doing every day, but you're not really seeing results, or something that you do every week, something you spend money on, or something you spend time on, or both, and it's not working for you, it's time to consider replacements of that. It's time to try something new. It's time to try a different way of doing it, because if it doesn't work, you replace it with something else. If that doesn't work, you replace it with something else, and you keep going until you find what works best for you. Our time is very limited. We get this wonderful life, but it is quite short if you think about it, about how much you've done so far and how much time you got left. We do want to be vigilant about what we do and how we do it. So if something stops working, just try something else. And some of that involves new skills. So I usually convince my clients to put a reminder in their diary. Every 3 months, you should have a little reminder in your calendar to pick a new skill. Because if you spend half an hour learning something, mastering something every week, within 3 to 6 months, you could become an expert. You're not going to be a lecturer level on it, but you're going to know it well enough to use it. So whatever skill it is for you, whether it's personal, business, or one of each, that reminder in the calendar every 3 months is going to pretty much sort out your development for a good many years to come, because every 3 months, when you're ready, you're going to pick a new one. If you're not ready, you ignore the reminder and it's going to come up again in 3 months. You don't have to remember it. Our brains get so busy and there's so many things we have to take in, so many things we have to remember. The more you can put down, write down, put in your calendar, the better. You leave yourself the space for new ideas. You leave yourself the space for absolutely next step, something you didn't have the time to think of. Often this happens to us on holidays, because suddenly we don't have to remember so many different things because we're on holiday, and then we have the space for reflection and new ideas and meditation and anything else, creativity that actually sneaks in when there's space. So the more you can write down, the more you can put in your calendar, the better. Please do. For me, actually, after that particular meeting, it was a lot of it for me was about the environment. So I love working at home and I love working from home and it works for me. It doesn't work for everyone, but there was something about my environment that didn't make it varied enough. So my resolution was to start working somewhere else 1 day a week, actually go out, find the space. I did that. A lot of the resolutions, a lot of the solutions from the session were around networking and sales focus. And one of the biggest ones was to go to your existing client base, go to your existing connections, people you already know, your friends, your colleagues, people you have come across before. And that is also how you can get an amazing mentor and how you can basically get to work with people in the future. Even if you can't speak to them or sell to them now, then they are still a good connection. So 6 or 12 months down the line to stay in touch. People have very different knowledge, very different expertise. And whenever you speak to someone, there's a chance you learn something new. Right, this is when I mentioned the regular meets to check on your progress. So your friends, your family, colleagues, people you speak to on a regular basis, you can ask them to help you stay accountable and stay on track. And we also went through a couple of brainstorming ideas. How would you introduce your business? How would you explain it to a 5-year-old? So what you're selling at the moment and what you're doing for people, how would you explain that to a child? As simple as you can, because that is where your brain really actually has to strain and come up with new ideas or new words or keywords, where it's going to help you come up with a different way of presenting what you're doing. We recently talked a lot about networking, and I've been working with a couple of amazing people on networking, and that is what we're doing at the moment. We're working on introductions, we're working on language, we're working on words, how to do that, how to introduce yourself and how to introduce your business. And practice the situations that you don't like. So this was a really big one, especially if you're not comfortable with any part of what you're doing. Practice makes perfect, and it's always been that way. And we had a lovely quote here: in the jungle, we're the predator, we're the humans. So at the end of the day, we're the ones that learn from our mistakes, and we can get absolutely amazing at a skill if we practice. And we're back to the skill that we can learn within 3 to 6 months. You can be an absolute master of what it is that would be the most useful thing to you. So we were doing all of that, and we were talking about different useful things like how to get people to stay on your website longer, using embeds for things like Calendly, and which music is free, and what happens when you edit images, and what kind of tips we can go through, and what kind of things we can actually use, like systems, Invoice Ninja, free agent systems. They all come with their own training. It really is worth. There's so much information out there now. If you're ever hesitant about your skills, there is going to be an article about it. There's going to be a YouTube video about it. And it is really possible for you to learn anything you wanted to, even if you don't have access to a college course or a multitude of books. There is always a way, a different way. So things that make your life easier were things that we discussed. There was a payment card where you get to decide, connect a couple of accounts, and you decide what transaction goes from which account. That's the Curve payment card. And things like Asana, Trello, and Slack for your workload or for your team, your present, your future team, whenever you want to work on a project or get things done in a certain order or a whole list of things. You can use this for your own planning. You can use this for your goals. So you could write down your yearly or quarterly goals into elements on Asana or on Trello and tick them off one by one and add new ones as they come up. But you stay organized, and it doesn't have to stay in your head. So you're actually creating the space. We talked about accountability, a coach, mentor, follow-up, organization tools. All of that are things that will make your life easier. So the whole point of working with someone else is so that they help you stay organized and stay on track and be accountable. And this is all about consistency. All of it is about how you can measure it, right? If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So whatever targets you're working towards, whatever lists and plans, they don't have to be rigid. They can be flexible, but there has to be something. So definitely write something down, whether you want to write it just once a year, whether you want to write it every quarter, or every quarter, like me, do a 12-week plan. Whatever suits you is exactly what is going to help you move forward and stay on track, because we can spend months working on things and we are doing really well and we're getting things done. And then we realize, yeah, but in those 2 months, that's what I wanted to actually get done. And I didn't have time for that. And that's how we miss the bigger things. That's how we lose track of things, even if they're quite big. I recently did a video about large goal unpacking, and it was about if something feels very, very big. So for example, you want to grow your business to this particular revenue, or you want to achieve this many sales within a year. If it seems like a very big goal, what you do is you basically break it down. You break it down into months, you break it down into weeks, you break it down into days. And the more you are able to put in your schedule, if you put an activity every day and you only do it 2 days out of 5, you are still doing it 2 more than if you didn't put it in your schedule at all. So it's still a win. However you look at it, it is still a win. And it helps you with the rest of these things. It helps you change your circumstances, looking at systems, looking at your business, helps you stay on top of your costs. And there is on my website, I definitely invite you to do that if you don't have one yet. There's a business coaching wheel tool that allows you to put the elements of your business on a coaching wheel and then make a plan on every single one of them separately. Look at the steps and break them down. It suddenly doesn't feel overwhelming when you have little actions written down next to each one of your elements on a wheel that you can use as a goals list. There's plans, solutions, all of that, and business plan elements are also on my website. If you wanted to combine that with a coaching wheel, it helps you protect your business, plan everything, and it helps you with business continuity as well. And this is all to reduce overwhelm. This is all for you not to be stressed, because for some people, stress is very nice and very productive and they get things done. But for a lot of people, stress is a bad thing. So it puts so much pressure on you. And at some point, it feels so overwhelming. You don't want to do anything. That's it. You go into your space where your escape. Everyone has some sort of escape or some sort of relaxation they're going to go to because it's just too much. And as long as it doesn't last too long, you're okay. And this happens, and we're all human, and it happens to us, and it happens to me, and it happens once a month or once every 2 months, and it lasts half a day, which is fantastic because it doesn't last a week. So I only lost a couple of hours, and within my planning, that's completely under control because I can make up those couple of hours, or I can use the Parkinson's law to squeeze my time and get things done. So this is all about doing one thing at a time, one task, one idea, and make sure that you write them down. You don't lose them. So if you, another nice tip that we do have that I use, I advise to my clients as well, is to have a backup task, something that is not high on your priority list. And you judge your priority list according to what's urgent, what's important, and go by the matrix. If there's something that is not very urgent, but it is important, whenever you feel too stressed, whenever you feel overwhelmed, you can go to that. So for example, it can be website editing. If you're too stressed to deal with clients, it can be marketing, design something, graphics, have a look at something that would be eye-pleasing, that is completely different. It doesn't put that much pressure on you. If you can have a backup list of put it at the back of your mind. If I don't feel like doing anything, then that's what I'm going to do. It can be reading a book that is useful to you. It can be anything that you consider useful. And once you start using some of these and you replace the things that you're doing now, have a look at whether you want to try it for 30, 90 days. What is the difference? You can try things for just 1 week if you wanted to, or you can try them for a whole year, although that is a little bit too long if they're not working. So definitely have a look at what you're doing at the moment, have a look at what you want to start doing, and put an emotion behind it, which is exactly one of the foundations of goals. And if you involve your emotions, it becomes, your resolve becomes stronger. You are much more motivated to do that particular thing because the focus of your emotion is, what are you going to get out of it? What is the emotion? What is the state that you're going to feel at the end of doing this? If the result is positive, what are you going to get? Keeps you more motivated, gets you excited, and you get things done. And whenever you need to, definitely book a call with me. I can always help you get motivated, put more emotions behind it, and get things replaced with other things. Again, if there's anything, I will keep coming up with new things here, and thank you for coming. If there's anything that you can think of that we can incorporate in this presentation, please do let me know, and we'll have some questions and answers. I appreciate your time.